111 homes sold in St. Albert last month. Prices still above asking, and buyers are somehow calm. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. Let me show you what's actually going on. By the way, I'm Lee. I help families relocate to St. Albert. So if you're sitting there wondering if the city could work for your family, send me an email. I'm always happy to answer questions and help you figure things out. Today, I'm breaking down the April 2026 St. Albert market stats for single-family homes. And more importantly, what these numbers actually mean if your family is thinking of moving this year. All right, let's start with the April numbers. For April, 111 single-family homes sold in St. Albert. The average list price was $596,000, and the average sold price came in at around $601,000. So yes, homes are still selling above asking, and that $5,000 gap matters, because in a market with any real softness, you stop seeing that. Homes also took about 23 days on the market to sell. What these numbers are telling me is the market is still strong, but it feels much more balanced than that intense pace we saw during peak market craziness. Buyers are still moving, but they're thinking more, comparing more, and they're not rushing into any decisions quite as fast. And here's the part I find really interesting, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. April 2026 versus April 2025. The numbers are almost identical. Last April, 115 homes sold. Average list price was $596,000. Average sold price was $602,000 with 23 days on the market. This April, 111 homes sold. Average list price $569,000. Average sold price $161,000. With 23 days on the market. I've been doing this long enough to know that kind of consistency is actually rare, and it matters, because when people ask me, is it a good time to buy? What they really are asking is it safe? And a market that holds steady year over year, that's as close to a yes as you're going to get. Now let's talk about where the families are buying. The busiest neighborhoods last month were Ainsdale, Deer Ridge, and Erin Ridge North. And this makes total sense to me. These neighborhoods give families a lot what they're looking for right now. Schools, parks, family-focused streets, good access around the city, and different price points depending on their budget. What I really think is interesting is the buyers are still loving a mix of the older established neighborhoods and the newer communities. Because sometimes buyers rather have the bigger lots, mature trees, more space, and a little less monthly stress financially. On the higher end of the market, Kingswood and Jensen Lakes continue to stand out, and these two neighborhoods attract very different buyers. Kingswood is more estate-style living, larger homes, mature surroundings, and a little more private feeling. Jensen Lakes continues to be one of the most talked about neighborhoods for relocation buyers moving to St. Albert. And honestly, every time I show it to a family for the first time, I know exactly what they're going to say. I want to step away from the numbers for a second and just tell you what I'm actually seeing on the ground. The families I'm working with right now are doing something different than buyers were doing years ago. They're slowing down on purpose. They're driving the neighborhoods on a Tuesday afternoon just to feel them out. They're asking about the schools before they're asking about the square feet. They're running the numbers twice and sometimes 3 times before they make an offer. And when I see that, I feel good about the decision they're making. Because St. Albert is a place people stay. And the families coming here right now seem to know that. And honestly, one of the reasons families continue choosing St. Albert is because daily life here just feels easier for a lot of people. And the families I help relocate here, a lot of them tell me a few months later that it's the little things that got them. The quieter streets, running into neighbors, feeling like they landed somewhere, not just somewhere affordable. That feeling is hard to put in a market report, but it's real. And I think it matters more to buyers right now more than ever. So overall, April tells me the St. Albert market is still strong. And for families, that's really good news. If moving to St. Albert or Edmonton is even on your radar this year, my email is below. Reach out anytime. I'm always happy to walk families through the process and answer whatever questions you have. And if this video helped you understand the market a little better, Make sure you check out my video, The Pros and Cons Families Need to Know, and I will see you in the next one.